Firstly, we'd like to call on Councillor Kingy to say the karakia.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just have to refer to my digital devices to assist me. I'm still there. Ino tata, please go ahead. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kinikini ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi ake ana te atakora, he tio, he huka, he hauhunga, hui e tai ki e.
Thank you, Tong. Everyone, your microphone's on. Can you hear us at the back? Excellent. Nodding heads. Great. And we've been live streamed. Are we all set? Cameras all go? Right. Firstly, do we have any apologies? We do have an apology from His Worship the Mayor and Councillor Truman. Other than that, we're all present. And a mover and seconder for the apologies, please. Thank you, Anna and Tom. Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. So the order of the agenda, we're going to move things around a little bit. We're going to deal with items 3.1, then 4.1, then 5.8, and then the 5.5 Kinloch Esplanade Reserve. Okay? Just so you understand what we're doing. Right, so item 3.1, confirmation of the minutes. Meeting held on the 28th of February 2017. Okay, any comments? Any, can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Tong. And a seconder, thank you, Barry. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Item 4.1, receipt of the minutes and the consideration of recommendations from the various authorities and community boards. Is there any comments on those?
So, Madam Chair, just point out the recommendations there on page 12, one of which you've heard about today in the public forum.
Right, thank you, Gareth. So, are there any further questions or discussions? Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Christine and Tong. Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Right, item 5.8, the electrical vehicle charging stations. We have Mr. Dennis Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Councillors. Just before we go on to the paper, we have our two gentlemen from Unison here, Nigel and Len, who would like to give a short presentation on the EV proposal.
Thank you. Welcome.
Len Gould, Unison Networks. I'm General Manager Commercial, and Nigel Purdy, my colleague. Thank you, Madam Chair and Councillors, for providing this opportunity for us to speak to you briefly about an initiative we'd like to bring to Taupo. So Unison, a lines company who serves the area of Hawke's Bay, Taupo and Rotorua. We serve 110,000 customers throughout this region. We have lines, cables in your local area. We also have a presence in staffing here. We have 24 people in our depot to do a lot of first response and building of lines and poles and substations, restoring power for communities in times of need. We've also brought a lot of new technology to this region since we've owned it. So we've owned the network in 2003. We purchased this network and Rotorua at that time. And we brought some fast technologies and smarts to the area to restore power quickly without spending a lot of capital and additional assets. We've spent $48 million in a short period of time bringing that technology, but also enhancing some of the business community of this area. So just talking about some of those quite quickly is, we'll all remember the August snowstorm, Rangataiki. We saw over 100 people here working to restore power over a 4-week period. We brought a big crew in from around New Zealand to do that. So we have a very big presence here. We also work in partnership with Wairaki Pastoral for the development there and bringing power to them to make sure that they can do their business as they're required. So we do have a big presence and a big association with this region. But one thing we would like to talk to you about today is electric vehicle charging, and how, while we have deployed smart chargers in Rotorua, in Hawke's Bay, in both Napier and Taupo, and for our neighbouring Lions Company in central Hawke's Bay, which we have a management services contract for, we have deployed already chargers there. And the gap, as you can see in that map, is a fast charger here in Taupo. And we have proposed to install one downtown Taupo to bring people into this region. So I'm going to hand over the stage to Nigel just to talk a little bit about our proposal.
Thank you. As Len has described, the gap on the map is Taupo, and we've been doing a lot of work over the last months looking around town to find a suitable location for a fast charger. This is an exercise of compromise essentially, because there's a number of factors that need to come together to make this work. First and foremost, where are people wanting to stop? Where's a convenient place where people will stop? Because it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to recharge an electric vehicle using a fast charger. It needs to be a place of convenience, near amenities, near facilities. Also with a suitable place that's safe, that has space for the electric vehicle to pull into a suitable car parking space. Practicalities like where exactly the connection point is on the car. It's in different places on different models. And also where there's electrical capacity available. A fast charger needs a very heavy electrical supply capability. So it uses quite a lot of electrical network capacity. So the site we've selected is just a block across from here, the other side of the fire station, alongside the existing car parks beside the station. We're proposing to build new parks to provide for the electric vehicle charging spaces and place them in a, as is shown in this mock-up picture. We've considered other details. If I flick to the next slide. Working with council information about existing services that are in the area. You might be able to see on the graphic here that there's a blue band through the middle. That's an existing high pressure water main. So we have to keep the equipment away from there. So we've configured the sites so that they keep clear of that water main exclusion zone but fit within the available space between the driveway to the side at the back of the fire station property and the existing car parks. We're proposing to install one initial fast charger, which would service 2 parks, but over time add more in, either ourselves or in partnership with others who we work with to, as we do with other electrical connections, facilitate more of those to come to town. Another factor in our selection is a desire to have this in the downtown area and attract visitors to Taupo into the central area. For their purposes, being close to amenities, but also to bring that business into town. So this is the site, as I say, after considering many around town and working with council staff to identify what we believe is the best location that suits all of those purposes, and that is the site we're proposing and requesting endorsement of.
Sure, that's quick. How long does it from flat to take to charge a car with your chargers? Is it 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour?
It does depend on the battery size, but it's typically, for a Nissan Leaf, for example, which is it's the most common model in the country, 20 to 30 minutes. That's from near flat to pretty much full. Yep.
So the person charging would have to remain with that vehicle until it was charged? Like they couldn't just plug it in and wander off downtown?
No, they could. Yeah, it's it's safe, it's self-managing in terms of leaving it there, so yes, they can. And in fact, there are notification systems in the back office system that supports that to send a notification to the person, send them a text and say it's full now, come back and pick it up or move it on so someone else can use the park too.
That's what I was really questioning, yes.
Right, yes, there's quite a lot of etiquette developing around how electric vehicle parks are used here, yes.
Thank you.
But it's fine to leave them self-managing.
Cool.
The last graphic I have is an indication of the types of vehicles. This is a selection of all the models that are on New Zealand roads already, and the coloured dots indicate which type of charging system, which standard they used. So there is a mix, and the charger we're proposing to put in place covers the ones with everything but the red dot. All the others would be covered by the technology that we're proposing to deploy, or others who would deploy similar ones alongside us. And that's the conclusion of our slides.
Right, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Len and Nigel. Dennis, do you have any further comments to make?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just draw your attention to the report on page 155, item 5.8. Recall, councillors, that back in November there was an expression of interest for EV chargers, and location up in the McDonald's car park was selected. We selected one vendor for that, and subsequently they declined that offer. And since that time, Unison have indicated a preference for this Kaimanawa site.
Thank you, Dennis. Any further queries?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question from me, I guess, to Dennis. How well utilised are those current car parks in Kaimanawa Street?
They're relatively well used by council staff, but what Unison are proposing is the construction of an additional 6 parks.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent answer. Any further questions? Nothing further? So we have 2 recommendations here. Obviously, you can see them in front of you. The council approves Unison's proposal to establish an EV charging station on Kaimanawa Street adjacent to the fire station. Or number 2, that council revokes resolution TDC 201611/11 in relation to electric vehicle charging stations as set out below.
It's both.
And, thank you.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Right, now to item 5.5, Kinloch Esplanade Reserve Vehicle Access. We have Mr. Nick Carroll.
Good afternoon, councillors. I'd like to take my report as being read and not say a great deal more other than it's probably an appropriate time in the process for you to start to think about what your philosophical views are or what your philosophical position is around vehicle access onto the reserves, and that will no doubt lead you onto some debate. As officers, we're quite happy to implement any changes that you propose. This is the point where you really need to give us some direction about what it is you wish to see on the ground.
Yes, Barry?
Madam Chair, I'd like to suggest a proposed recommendation that Council resolve that the Kinloch Esplanade Reserve be open to vehicles. This decision is consistent with the Reserve Management Plan 2007, page 48, Policy B, and page 49, Policy C. Part 2, requests that the Chief Executive Officer establish a working group to finalise a design that allows for vehicle access in sympathy with the natural amenity and values of the area and is consistent with the reserve management plan.
Thank you.
I'd like to move that.
Thank you, Barry.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second that recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have any further comments or queries on that resolution?
Chairman, Madam Chair, I find this is the fastest I've ever seen a motion put before a council before any discussion on the agenda paper has taken place. But be that as it may, the resolution that was passed at the last meeting made the comment that the staff would have plans, drawings of the reserve without vehicles to the March or April meeting. Now, we do have the plan of the new car parking, etc., etc. We have the plans that the Kinloch Residents Group have put before us, but we don't have anything from council in regards of what that reserve could look like with no vehicles. Why would that be?
I guess if I can, because that would be as simple as putting a gate up and stopping the vehicles going through. So there's not much of a plan to be able to show other than status quo.
Well, I have a different point of view. A concept of trees, tables, blah, 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 would give you a feeling of no vehicles. Because one of the concerns that I have, and my stance I don't believe has changed, in the Kinloch Committee's submissions to this council, they talk about the reserve being open for approximately 20 vehicles. Now, I know that in the height of summer, and I stand to be corrected, there's a considerably more than 20 vehicles on that reserve at any one time. So effectively, who operates the gate? 20 vehicles in, hypothetical gate gets shut, who monitors it?
Why are we talking about a gate? I'm not sure.
No, on a hypothetical gate.
Okay.
I guess, Madam Chair, it's not for me to defend or discuss the Kinloch Action Group's plan favourably or not, but I guess what that plan does do is provide physical constraints, and so the amount of cars, vehicles that could go onto that plan, by my reading of that plan, would be constrained by the number of car parks. So if a car drove in all those 20 car parks, if that's what it is, was full, then that car would simply have to drive out because they would have nowhere to park, given that it's constrained rather than being able to park on the grass as you currently do.
And that's my point. 20 cars or no cars? 20 cars.
Thank you. Yes, Rosie.
Madam Chair, I guess this is in support of the resolution that Barry's put forward and also talks to Nick's comment. I think we have a lot of information in front of us and the council officers are asking us to give them some direction, and from there the detail will follow out of it. So in support of what Barry's saying is we need to make a philosophical decision about whether the reserve is open or not to vehicles, which is what Barry has done, and then once we've voted on that, the detail can come out from there, which is why we're trying to get this resolution discussed now.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just clarify on, it's item 5.5 attachment 1. Oh, which page is it? Sorry, 72. Am I right in understanding that the cars are not actually on the reserve in that drawing, that they're on a road? Is that the proposed road?
They're on a road and car parks on the side of that road, but that road is on a reserve. But if you looked at the situation that we've got at Whariwaka, it would be exactly the same as that, where you've got a carriageway
Right.
sitting on a reserve.
Right.
But what the cars can't do in that plan, is my reading of it, is to drive on the grass.
Onto the, okay, no, thank you.
Yes. Sorry, Councillor John?
Through the chair, just as what Councillor Roseanne Jolins and what Nick has said, with a philosophical, it's have to make a simple decision whether there's vehicle access to the reserve, which also it does corroborate well by the two consultation processes we went through and consistent with the RMP. And then I think we're getting a little tied up with detail at the stage. Just got to make a decision whether it's open then.
I think the question that was asked, though, was good to be understanding exactly what it meant, whether it was on the grass or on the road. That's what I understood your question was.
Well, Madam Chair, if I could just probably speak to that. It's the intention behind putting this resolution together was not to particularly say any one particular plan, but possibly to take some of the basic elements out of the Kinloch group's plan. But this reserve needs to be kept natural and just to be able to be developed so it can be used by all age groups and just to take those basic elements, making sure that obviously we protect the historic trees, giving some facility for car parking, and basically that would be my suggestion, is keep it natural, keep it plain and simple. And that's part two of that resolution. I didn't want to get into detailed design.
Yes, Anna first, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. How this actual resolution is written doesn't satisfy me at all. I just find it's a matter of, it's not final enough for me. We've been doing this for too long. I'm happy to reach a compromise and accept the key sort of design points of the working group, minus all the goodies, because I believe in what Councillor Hickling is saying about the natural amenity and everything. But I do concur with Councillor Rankin that if we were to accept this draft design, those cars do look like they are on a more defined road area, and then there are bollards to protect the reserve. So if this has been moved and seconded, I'm not going to vote for that, but I would be willing to look at a more workable resolution that gives a bit more finality to the situation than sending off a group to work it out.
Can we alter the resolution? Any further queries? Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Can I just say this is really important to get this right?
Yes.
Because I'd already agreed in my head that I was going to compromise and vote for this if that's what we're voting on. If that's not what we're voting on, I'll just go back to my original vote.
Through the chair, I think this is getting ridiculous. We're getting sidetracked by.
Not.
I don't.
Yes, we are.
know.
The second part of the resolution says to finalise the design, so we can go back and
That would
discuss.
come back to council.
Yeah.
Back to council. Yeah. It needs to be.
Didn't say that.
Yeah, I understand what Anna and Christine are saying. It's not as specific as working with the action group.
So, Madam Chair, just as a suggestion to move forward, because I think you're all saying the same thing, but in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether or not the mover and the seconder might be thinking about the resolution as it currently stands, but adding some bullet points about what you're trying to achieve into the second part. So where it talks about keeping it natural, that you could say, so it includes the access way and car park formation,
And no parking on the grass.
the planting, whatever it is that you actually want to do to give satisfaction.
Yep.
I think most people are agreeing that they want the thing left open.
Yep.
Madam Chair, my draft recommendation for part two was quite lengthy.
Yeah, it was.
And I wanted to really keep it succinct and short. But in my initial draft resolution, I'd put that the plan be developed with the protection of the 4 metre around the historic trees, that the extension of the driveway and the areas be set aside for parking, keeping the reserve, the natural amenity of the reserve, and all elements and material to comply with the Reserve Management Plan 2007. Now, that's what I initially put, but because I didn't want to get into detail, I took that out. But that's the essence of what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's what I understand, and yes, various councillors I think would like more details so they know what they're voting on. That's my
We have
understanding.
to protect the historic trees, that's a given.
So the question therefore through the chair of the mover and the seconder is, are you happy for for the motion to be amended that way?
Well, I'm suggesting by would add those in if my fellow councillors are more comfortable with that being included.
Yes.
I am more
yes.
comfortable as long as it has that road.
So can we specifically say that it's in line with the current action group's plan? Or proposal? Can we add that to it? Because I think that's what everyone's comfortable
My
with.
concern was the action plan, the plan that was presented, I think was over the top for the reserve. I think it just needs to be calmed down a little bit and some of the.
We understand, I agree.
Removing.
We're actually on the same wavelength here. I think the important thing is that various councillors want to be sure that people are driving on the road only,
Definitely.
not on the grass.
We're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
We're all saying that?
Safety aspects, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You've still got to come up, you've still got to come up with a design plan that will
Yes.
come back to council.
Yes, we understand that.
Based on that.
Based on the elements within that plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
Would you like-
how can we add those things to it then? All right.
You've just read them out, so if, as the mover, if you're happy with that, the seconder has nodded to me, I think that he's happy with it. So I
Okay,
think
so
we can take that as the new motion.
Okay.
And so it's been moved and
I've
seconded, I guess any
put,
discussion from.
With the protection of 4 metres around the historic trees,
That, no.
the extension of the driveway, and I call it a driveway.
Sure.
And setting aside areas for car parking, and that all the elements and material would comply to the Reserve Management Plan 2007, because I have real concerns that if it doesn't comply to the management plan, we may be going back to that issue because it don't comply.
Understood.
Okay.
So do we want to read that out? Do we
I will
have
add that onto the resolution
As part.
Yes,
as part of the resolution.
yep. Yes, we'll rewrite it.
Clarify one element, and it's the last part of that draft resolution talking about materials and elements complying with the management plan.
At
Memory,
the moment, it doesn't.
if memory serves me rightly, the management plan currently talks about not using sealed surfaces. So we'd be going back towards gravel or Kirby blocks. or
Nick,
similar.
I'm sorry. There are terminal materials that you can use that are,
But I think you're right.
that's what it's saying, terminal materials
So
that
that's the-
you can use.
So councillor, I think that's the intention, I understand that. I think what Mr Carroll's saying is that the management plan at the moment is actually quite specific and says that it won't use those permeable materials, that it will be Gobi blocks, etc. So what we're trying to
I
say
think it
is,
says it shouldn't be sealed, but either Gobi blocks or other materials could be permeable materials. Because seal is not, it just runs off.
So would the expectation of council be that we would remove the seal?
Well,
That's already there.
I think that's got to come back to council with the final plan.
I guess all I'm signalling is your resolution at the moment was pushing us towards a situation where we would be removing that seal, which will clearly come at a cost.
Oh, well, just take that.
Take that
Last
bit
line out.
out. If it's going to box you in a corner, take it out. Take the last bit out.
Madam Chair, to back up what Mr Carroll is saying, policy C states with Gobi blocks or similar.
Or similar.
Shingle is not similar.
Pardon?
Shingle is not
I'm
similar.
not suggesting.
Seal is not similar, it's Gobi blocks or similar.
Yeah, and similar could be
Achieve the
permeable
same purpose.
materials that allow water to go through. That's what it's replying to.
Let's redo it, are we doing?
So I'm happy with those amendments, Madam Chair.
Has it been written down? Can we re-say it?
I think,
Could you please read part 1 and part 2
Yeah.
for clarity?
Okay.
Madam Chair, we all received an email from...
Can we just deal with getting this
No,
right?
because I want to speak before the resolution comes before us again.
so we'll do that. you want to speak before the resolution?
I want to point out the information supplied in the letter from the Kinloch resident. Your thoughts? This letter was all sent to us and the Mayor, and I find it quite interesting reading it because it seems to be a little bit contrary to what the wishes are of the working group from Kinloch. They state here, a proposal to widen a roadway and put bollards and railing along the sides, limiting parking would destroy the aesthetic and natural beauty of the reserve. It would also not be practical. They also raise the issue of the Lombardy poplar trees and their use-by date has come, basically suggesting that they should be removed. Now, that's the other thing I found reading all the submissions, the contradictory points of view from a great variety of the Kinloch community. I don't know what we're going to achieve by the resolution we're dealing with at the moment.
Well, the resolution's been put and it's been moved and seconded, so can we
So we've got the first part of the resolution which has been tabled and there's no changes to that. Added to that is a protection area of 4 metres around the historic trees, extension of the driveway and setting aside an area for car parking and keeping the natural amenity of the reserve. And my understanding is that the last part about complying with the reserve management plan is no longer to be there.
True.
Correct.
Full stop. After amenity. Yeah.
What's been removed?
So,
To comply with
Okay.
moved and seconded. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion?
Just to make the comment, are the costings going to come, we've got costings at the moment. Are we then going to delay it for more costings to come back for council approval or not?
So through you, Madam Chair, we've got in your draft budgets at the moment is $100,000 for next year for the reserve. So we would, as we do for any project, we would endeavour to design the project up to fit within the budget that you've given us.
Thank you.
Any further comments?
Just before you do put this to the vote, Madam Chair, I'd just like to highlight the reason why I've moved to part 1. As we all know, over the past probably 8 years, we have done very similar developments on lakefront reserves. 5 Mile Bay, admittedly a bigger reserve, but that was not closed off at the road. We allowed vehicle access, setting aside certain areas for parking. Exactly the same as Forrawaka and also Manukino Lakefront. Only sometime around August last year, Council made a unanimous decision, of which there's 9 people sitting around this table, to develop the area from the Trigg station through to the dock land connecting 5 Mile Bay. We made a judgment decision to allow cars to go on that reserve and constructed a driveway, roadway down to give people access, as well as extending the Great Lake Walkway. My decisions are all consistent, and those decisions was all consistent with the relevant management plan to do with those areas. That's the reason why I moved part 1, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Consistent decision making through the council.
Thank you, Barry. Okay, so we've got a mover for the motion and a seconder for the motion. Any further queries? All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Against?
No. Recorded, please.
Thank you. The motion is passed and carried. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just add something? Because a man came to see me from Kinloch today and he represented a different group and he had a suggestion that didn't fit with our previous discussion, but I think we should have it on the table, and I had mentioned it to Gareth, but he believes that Kinloch, with its rapid development, desperately needs a master plan, and I believe that we had one in 2000. He talked about the fact that we've got one of the best golf courses, I don't know if he said in the world or in the country, and we've got a world-class marina. We've got 5 busloads of kids going into Taupo every day to school. You know, we need to plan for schools. There's no field for kids to play on. There's five playgrounds, but no schools. And he was talking about making it into a fishing village like Monterey or Carmel. And I don't know if any of you have been there, but it fits perfectly with that kind of thing. And I think we need to now look at Kinloch and see what it could look like in the future and plan it properly so that we don't have these issues.
So through you, Madam Chair, and Councillor Rankin did raise that with me earlier, and I'm probably looking at Councillor Hickling because he's probably the only one around the table when we did it, but the last time that there was a big controversial issue in Kinloch was around when we did our district plan review, and we tried to rezone that land consistent with Taupo, and as a result of that we ended up having the Kinloch community structure plan, which was the community and the community association were very strong in getting us to that point. So that plan still exists and it still sits on the table. So my suggestion is that maybe if we circulate that to the members that might not be aware of that, have a look at it, and that can always be reviewed at some point in the future along with your work program if it's seen that that's out of date or needs more work.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're happy with that?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Christine. Right, so moving on. Thank you. Nice to see you all. Enjoy the afternoon. Item 5.1, contract Acacia Bay wastewater treatment plant disposal field upgrade. Dennis, welcome back.
Thank you, Madam Chair, councillors. I'll take the item as read. Just a couple of points of note. This is the second time we've put this work out to tender. The first time we only got one tender and it was relatively high price. I would take any questions.
Any questions of any councillors? Do I have a mover and a seconder for the motion?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Thank you. And all those in favour? Aye. Carried. Item 5.2, contract for street light maintenance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A little bit more to say on this matter. There are two items to consider here. One is request for approval in the contract value. When the fifth and final year of this contract was extended by council previously, we didn't ask for any additional extension in the contract value. That's now become apparent for a number of reasons that I've set out in my report. The second part of the request is that with the impending proposal to convert all of our streetlights to LED lighting, there's going to be a phase where we have a number of our existing lights and we're replacing those with LED. We are looking at doing that over a 12-month period. It would make sense to retain this contractor with his knowledge to maintain those lights until we've got them all converted to LED. There are significant savings in maintenance costs with the new LED, so it would be far more efficient to put out a tender for the future maintenance once we've converted all of the lights to LED. I'll take any questions.
Yes, Zane?
Through the chair. So my only concern was, you just briefly touched on it. Wouldn't it normally be like a side agreement? Why do we have to extend the contract for this one? If they're doing extra work for us, wouldn't that be like a side agreement?
Amounts to the same thing, councillor.
Or a variation?
Well, it's a variation to the contract, exactly.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. If you're getting, to me, you went out for tenders, you got a contract, end of story, and then you want some other work done, so you get a price for that. That's how it normally works in commerce.
What I'm recommending here is that you're utilising the existing framework of a current contract and issuing a variation to that contract rather than seeking new pricing for it.
Can we be confident then that's going to be as cost effective that someone wouldn't better that for us, that side work?
Under the circumstances, I believe it is the most cost effective mechanism for this changeover between current streetlight stock and our LED stock.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yes.
Through the chair, I think, Mr. Lewis, you've navigated your way through quite a tricky transition in moving to new technology, so I'd like to propose this recommendation.
Thank you. And
seconded.
Seconder, thank you. John, all those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Item 5.3, receipt of the draft statements of intent, which are the attachments under the separate cover. Afternoon, Sue.
The purpose of this item is to officially receive the draft statement of intents from our council-controlled organisations and to instruct staff to undertake a review of these documents. So these include the Taupo Airport Authority, the Local Authority Shared Services, Bay of Plenty LAS, Destination Great Lake, Taupo, and the New Zealand Local Government Funding Agency. The Lake Taupo Protection Trust received their draft SOI at their meeting on March 20, and they will be reviewing these under the Local Government Act. So the draft SOIs are received or are due to us by the 1st of March each year. We then review these and provide feedback to the CCOs by the 1st of May. So the draft statement of intents are currently being reviewed by officers, with comments being brought to the April meeting. So based on this, there are two options: to receive the draft statement of intents or to not receive them. And to receive these fulfills Council's requirements under the Local Government Act. So I'll now leave it with you.
Yes, Councillor Park?
This is probably a question more so for Councillor Rankin or Councillor Jollins with the TAA. I just noticed under the capital expenditure forecast, it's got CapEx will be required for planning infrastructure to development, but it doesn't actually allude to the luggage area or, I mean, as council, we've put money into the annual plan for car parking, but it just seems that the TAA aren't taking that into consideration of what they may need to provide for that.
So through the chair in response to Councillor Park, we've got a major strategic discussion with the TAA shortly, and a lot of those discussions will be held, but we felt it prudent at this stage to signal in the statement of intent that there would be some expenditure and activity, but we don't have the scope of that yet until we've done the strategic session.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Cousins?
Through the chair, Councillor John, so will we be privy to that, the contents of that discussion? Won't be at one of your normal meetings, will it? It'll be a meeting will take place separately, is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as Councillor Rankin and I, your representatives, will certainly bring back that information to you, and it will have to come through the process as well.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, queries? A mover for the motion?
I'll move.
Thank you. And Councillor Cousins? Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Carried.
All we're doing is accepting them, we're not debating them.
Right, item 5.4, statement of proposal for fees and charges, which also you have a separate attachment for. Welcome, Ariel.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll take the item as read. We've discussed fees and charges for 2017-18 in several workshops that were held in February and March. We've been through those both schedules and have proposed changes which are set out in the statement of proposal. The consultation period that we're proposing will run from April the 4th, which is next Tuesday, until the 5th of May, with hearings, if anyone wishes to speak, on the 16th of May.
Yes, Councillor Park?
I'm happy to move the recommended, or the recommendation rather.
And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kingy. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Item 5.6, Hawke's Bay Triennial Agreement. Welcome, Jane.
Councillors, I will take the paper as read, and are there any questions?
All right, you get that one, Meg. Really, I'm just busy.
Just through the chair, since here the agreement should be entered into not later than 1st March.
Yes, so we actually adopted all the other ones at the last meeting, but there were some issues with Hawke's Bay, and pretty much they are now all resolved and they have all signed it except for us. I don't think there's an organisation that will.
So you're happy with the way it's come back?
Now we're very happy, yes.
Sure.
Any further comments?
I'd move.
Mover and a seconder?
Second it.
Thank you, councillor Cousins. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Item 5.7, Council's February Performance Report. Gareth, do you wish to comment?
Madam Chair, so we're walking through the agenda items today. That's great.
Oh, I was always...
This one may take a few more minutes, unfortunately, but so this is our standard monthly performance report that we provide to you, talking about our compliance with our targets. I guess as starting before I hand over to the team to go through page by page, I'd just say that the last month it's been a bit of an exciting one for our staff organisation. A lot of our time has been spent looking at a few organisational development projects. The most significant of that is the visioning exercise that we've just started. So setting a vision for the organisation and working on values throughout the organisation with the teams, which is where we're at the moment. The teams are identifying out and working through values that they can buy into. The end result of that, or the goal of that, is for us to become a values-based, high-performing organisation that staff can know what is expected of them and measure themselves and each other in accordance with that. So quite an exciting time. I think it's something that the staff generally have really been keen to be involved with and excited about. But on top of that, business continues as normal. So I'll look to the guys to take us through page by page.
Thank you, Gareth.
Madam Chair, could I just ask a question on page 1? Just to retain the garden of significance in the South Domain, I see that we might have to do some improvements. Do you know what those improvements may look like? Or?
Yeah, I think it's just some weeding out and some replanting. I don't think it's anything more significant than that.
Okay. All right.
Yes, councillor Rankin.
Can I just say congratulations to you for the leadership that you're showing the organisation. You are following a transformational process, whether you know it or not, and you're doing everything right. Even working down on the front line is absolutely part of the transformational process, and it will make a huge difference in this organisation. So I feel very proud of you.
Thank you, councillor Rankin. I'm sure there are others that would agree. Any further comments? Queries? Right. We're going to work through them.
Okay, you're going to have to put up with me today on the finances. As you can see, we're in a pretty favourable position. It's actually a bit of a challenge because if you look at the growth in our operating revenue, a lot of it is in the operational side of the business when you look at the fees and charges and things of this nature. But we've been able to achieve that without an increase in our employee costs versus the budget. So people are working their butts off, but they're actually delivering. And I think that's the underlying message, that it's not only the fact that we are favourable year to date, but if you look at our forecast, we're going to be even better at year end without an increase in our employee costs. So I think that's passing on from Councillor Rankin's comment about the culture that has been created. You're seeing the deliverables and the financials as well. So I don't really want to dwell too much on those because I think they speak for themselves. So I'll let Dennis and Nick go through the performance reports and then I'll talk about the Treasury management results.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Right, if you go through to page 125, we come to community services. What I think you'll find as we go through the report today is there's not a great deal of change from where we were reporting last month. So we won't drag it out unnecessarily. In terms of community services, you'll see the only major significant variance is around the increased revenue we've seen. That's what we talked about last month, and that's just a trend that's continuing with that development. In terms of the service delivery, that continues to be...
Madam Chair, can we go, as you're going through each one, can we ask questions?
Oh, most definitely.
I notice on the community services 125, 25k for insurance payment. What was that for?
Ooh, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but we'll find out and send that information through.
Insurance claim, was it?
So it might have been a rural fire, but I had to check through you, Madam Chair, make sure, but come back to you.
Well, under community services, so yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
What we find is that the rural fire comes through as an expense, and then when we get the reimbursement, it comes in as revenue, so it's offsetting expenses. Like there was 76,000 year to date in rural fire costs, but we've received it all back.
It just takes some time occasionally for that to happen.
So then on the community services budget, you'd show an operating expenditure of X, followed by a revenue of the same amount. Is that the way it works?
Well, we wouldn't be budgeting for a fire.
We wouldn't be budgeting for it, but well, we could get a payment. But it would show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it should show both sides, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Page 127, water, again a similar message about water revenues, up against budget.
Sorry, guys.
Turning to the page onto service delivery, delivery measures are on track. You'll notice that there are some warning lights there that things may not be met. Those haven't changed from last month. They're the Acacia Bay Water Treatment Plant, where we need to talk to landowner to gain access to some land for a new water treatment plant site. And the Bonshore Park water bore, where we have made progress. There's a third bore that has been drilled. We're just waiting for the final testing on that bore, and if, as expected, we'll move into completion of that bore and getting approval from the drinking water assessor.
How are negotiations going with the Acacia Bay landowner?
We're just yet to commence serious negotiations.
You'll keep us informed, no doubt.
We will. Transport. There's reduction in expenditure or revenue and expenditure. That's primarily due to the timing of the reseals. They are almost complete now, so that should show a change next month. And there's also an increase in revenue aligned with the other areas. Our service deliveries are on track, and again the red or orange flags we've shown for both the footpaths, where we have indicated that for the for the Hoka Falls footpath, that should be going out to tender in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And the Faux Rocker, we are still doing some design work to try and minimise the cost of that project. And just on the minor safety improvements, the widening on Tuahonga has been completed. Community facilities, a similar situation there in terms of revenue. You will note there in the service delivery a couple of orange flags. These relate to performance issues that have already occurred. These are the ones, Nick, where we have reported them once and they continue to show up on the service delivery chart. In terms of project, we've got the Otamahiki Stream toilet block that's tracking along according to progress. Wastewater on page 136, similar message there about revenue again. We are tracking on target with our service delivery. You'll recall during the month of February we had, I think it was 4 wastewater spills, and we are currently renewing the sewer pipe at Koa Road, and that work's underway at the moment. We've a red light shown on the Turangi wastewater treatment plant. And
just through the chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Dennis. Particularly on that one, it's been going on for how long now, the delays for this?
This is the Turangi plant?
Yeah.
Yes, that will, as we've mentioned in this report and a number of other reports, it's entirely reliant on the Department of Internal Affairs and their dredging program, and that dredging is unlikely to take place until next summer. So this report will continue to show that until we get that dredged material. Now, the reason we're using that dredged material is there are some cost efficiencies. They want to get rid of the material and we want the material, and the material suits for the purpose that we want, rather than trying to source it from another site where we actually have to pay for the material and pay for the cartage.
Okay, so in the summer, that's when they will look at it? Or
No, that's when they intend to have a contract up and running to get the material.
And then time frame from there to completion, do you think? How long?
We won't be able to start until after we've had the material, so potentially it's not until the following season. And this has been conveyed to council.
Yeah, so we're talking 12 months from then, so
Yes.
it's probably 2 years from now.
Through the chair, it would have been now if it hadn't have been for the issues that the harbour master had with their contract to get the dredgings. So it was supposed to be last summer, or the summer that we've just come through, but unfortunately that didn't happen due to contractual issues that they had, and then they had to go through an arbitration process, etc., to complete that.
Solid waste. Again, favourable variances in income. As you would be aware, we have been reporting that our performance measure for reducing waste to landfill wasn't going to be met. This was largely attributable to two areas. One was the increase in building activity that was generating more waste, and also biosolids that we were taking to the landfill. Those biosolids, as I reported last month, is now going to our vermiculture or vermicomposting site, and you'll see there a reduction in tonnage for February, about 250 to 300 tonnes of that is the biosolids that are now going to the vermicomposting. It's looking like the end of year we'll have something in the order of 24,000 tonnes that will be going to the landfill. So, stormwater, no significant variances to budget. Our service delivery is on target, and the EnviroPods have already been installed, and the Tahoe Reaper stormwater device is currently up for pricing with contractors at the moment. And we're looking to construct that in May.
In terms of democracy and planning, you'll notice that on the service delivery graph, we've got the red there. That's the same that you've seen through previous months. Just a reminder that that relates to the satisfaction questions which come through the NRB survey we do every 3 years. That survey is due to be kicked off again in the next couple of months, so we'll have new figures before we get to the year end, and they'll be able to be incorporated into the annual report. In terms of projects, we've just got those 3 red traffic lights, again the same that you saw last month. Not significant change with regard to those, other than I'd say the Turangi Reserve projects continuing to move forward. We've now got the cultural assessment, which has been commissioned and underway, and there's been that meeting on the 13th provided a good opportunity for the committee to start to talk about their direction for that management plan going forward. Still quite a lot more work to do with the board and the management committee, making sure their views are aligned in that area. In terms of the bylaw reviews, we've got an internal meeting next week to talk about how we move those forward. But at this point, they're not being prioritised in terms of the overall workload.
Through the chair, just on that one, this might sound daft. If you've got an old bylaw that's still in existence, can't that be used until the new one comes in, i.e. the traffic one?
Correct. You've got a 2-year period where the bylaw continues to stay in force until such time as you've got to then review it.
So we could make some of those speed restriction changes now under the bylaw work. That's why I'm wondering why we're waiting for the new one to come into.
We could, if I recall correctly, the last time that we set the speed limit bylaw, there was a preference to review the speed limits and do it its entirety on a district-wide basis rather than piecemeal, so that you were getting the one network approach, if you like. So making sure that speeds were consistent across the network rather than just in isolated discrete areas.
But can't we do that now? District-wide.
That's purely timing for resourcing.
As Dennis says, it's purely a resourcing issue at this point in time. It's certainly something we can go back and have a look at and give you a more definitive timing on.
So when will the resources become available? I suppose at the time the new ones arrive.
And the intention is to deal with that issue. in the
this is
17
serious.
Yeah, the intention is to deal with that issue in the 17-18 year.
17-18.
We can perhaps give you some more definitive timing around when in that year we expect to get onto it.
Okay, thank you.
If that would be useful.
Yep, thank you.
Investments?
I'll speak to that. I'll cover most of that in the Treasury Management Report. All I want to point out on this particular page is the gain on sale of properties of 1.4 million. So that's well in excess of what was budgeted for, but we'll cover the rest of it in the Treasury Management Report.
What properties, Alan, is this?
This is Botanical
Botanical,
Heights
yep.
and yeah, there's more than that, but there's some of it.
It's positive.
Yeah. Some of it's still happening too.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't want to get into the confidential section.
And the last section is economic development, where again there's not a significant shift at all from last month. Sorry?
Also through the chair, so unrealised gains of equities, 878k. Are you going to be buying some more shares, please?
We'll cover that in the Treasury Management Report.
John's having a heart attack next year.
Yeah, give that
Jesus.
Sorry, Alan.
Like it. Do you want me to keep them or can you?
Okay, we move on to the Treasury Management Report. One of the challenges is the fact that the OCR is so low. You can see it's 1.75%. Okay, our borrowing's in line with how we've budgeted, as you can see. But if we look at our investment returns, if we take the total picture, you can see down the bottom that we've been managing to get just over 3% year-to-date yield, which we're not going to get rich on that. But that's partly driven by mainly driven by the OCR. But if we flick over to the next page, if you look at page 153, which is focusing on the TEL portfolio, and this carries on a little bit from what Councillor Williamson was saying, you can see that our year-to-date yield is 5.8. Our yield for the month was just over 10. Yes, we have been a little bit more active in shares. You'll see down the bottom right that we sold 20,000 NAB shares. That was actually a gain of 13.3% over 70 days. That's all we held the shares for, which would annualise to 69%. And Auckland Airport, that was a gain of 10.8% over 120 days. If we annualise that, it was about 33%. So you can see what we're having to do on the equity front to lift the overall yield to get it up to that sort of level. It's really hard when you've only got an OCR at 1.75. But even so, we're still only about 11% of the portfolio in shares.
Just through the chair, sorry, Alan, what was the, what are the shares of Auckland Airport worth per share, roughly? Do you know?
We sold them for $7.05 and we bought them for around the 6.
Okay.
But that was within, it's our strategy. When we buy, we have an exit price.
Right, yep.
So, and then the NAB shares, we sold them at 32, we bought them about 28.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And everything else is in accordance with the Treasury Management Policy.
Through the chair, I just thank you very much for the work you do. Excellent work in your department.
Indeed. Any further comments or questions? Have a mover, sorry, moving, thank you, Councillor Cousins. A seconder? Tom, All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Item 5.9, funding request from Go Tongariro.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Just wait for the rebels to finish.
John's wife.
Right.
The missus coming home.
So in front of you, you've received a funding request from Go Tongariro for this coming year for $20,000. What you've got in front of you is and I'll just recognise Wayne and Christian at the back there. What you've got in front of you is a pure report based on decisions you've made in the previous long-term plan, which was a reduce in funding amount down to $7,000 in 2017-18. You should be conscious that this request for additional funding is actually takes it above the original funding that was originally put in place. There was some performance measures wrapped around that funding, and particularly we've highlighted on page 165 a lack of a performance report for 15-16, and also the lack of progress towards that self-funding model, which council was quite determined to put in place. So I'll take any questions, but I guess I'll hand it over to you to make a decision as to where you want to head with this one.
Any questions?
Through that, Chair, a question to Mr. Ridd. Go Tongariro is involved with a feasibility study at the moment. If we decline this round of funding, will that impact on any of the work that's happening there?
Well, it depends what that finds, but I guess ultimately it's about delivery. So yes, there would be a fit.
Yes, Councillor Cousins?
Just some commentary. Look, we're all well aware there have been some hiccups in the lifespan of Go Tongariro, but there's been a bunch of issues at play, as we've discussed in the lounge earlier on. With the economic review in play right now, we're at the precipice, and it's imperative that we steer the course, in my opinion. The coordinator has done an exceptional job of being the glue that binds us, and I do not want to see that work undone, so it's imperative that we have council support today for that. Over to you, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to support Councillor Cousins' statement there. We are at a pretty important phase in Go Tongariro's evolution. Again, just reiterating some of my earlier points around where the evolution's at and where we might go to. I wonder, Madam Chair, if there might be an opportunity, if there's any members that wish to know something around this, that the Chairman of Go Tongariro might be permitted some speaking time to ask any questions, if that might help the members with any questions they may have.
That sounds fine. Anyone like to come forward and no? Would you like to say anything?
Up to you, Wayne. Sorry, I couldn't hear all that. Sorry. Come forward, Wayne. Oh, thank you.
Question, Wayne, the question is whether you've got anything that you want to add or talk about in terms of this item.
Can you hear me now? That's better, thank you. Yes, look, I'd like to acknowledge the opportunity to just support our case, and also the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. Certainly, Go Tongariro acknowledges that as far as some of the measures in the service agreement haven't been adhered to, and that's something that we are quite keen to get rectified going forward. The reality is that we have an operating cost of about $42,000 a year, and that most of that is directed towards the role of the coordinator, along with maintenance and upkeep of the administration side of things. So that's really important that we do that. As far as the self-sustainability, we've had a couple of faltering starts at that, and it really hasn't taken off. And that's in discussion with the assistance that we get from Taupo District Council officers. We believe there is an opportunity there to get that funding through targeted rate. It's just a case of actually getting the names of the commercial businesses that could make that contribution, and it's still somewhat a wee bit unclear as to how we're going to achieve that. So, but certainly it is a prime objective, and that's something that we'll strive for in the coming financial year. As far as the feasibility study, that's due to be finished by the end of this financial year, June 31st, there or thereabouts, so there shouldn't be any impact regarding the question that was answered earlier. Questions?
Yes, Anya.
Sorry, thank you, Wayne, and thank you for coming up.
Yep.
Just in regards to the 20K, what would, like I struggle with this because there's the feasibility study being done in the section 17A and everything else, but I do see that there is a timing issue, that if we don't do something, then we certainly don't want to lose Christine by any means, but so I sort of want to help, I sort of as a councillor want to help, but what would be sort of the minimum, like you've asked for 20, but what is the minimum you would need to tide over until we know where we stand with the Section 17 review and the feasibility study?
We're looking into the 2017-2018 year, and really to have a reduction without something viable in place to take the 7,000 that we've already lost and obviously the 7,000 that we'll lose going into that year is going to be difficult. So really that was, the 20,000 was really a figure that we discussed in conjunction with some of the help that I've had through Taupo District Council, that really we need to have that amount to give us surety going forward. I can't see much less than 20,000 because that's going to give us a working budget of just a bit over $40,000.
Is that including the funding you receive from EGLT?
Yes.
DGLT?
Yes, EGLT is the only other funding revenue that we have, and that's $20,000 a year. One thing we have done is that Go Tongariro has become GST registered, obviously to facilitate the economic study report that we're in the process of doing now. And just an update on that, we actually made a selection yesterday of the advisory panel, and we've also finalised the consultant to start on that, so we'll be picking that up in the next week or so. But lost the thread of the story then. We'll stop there.
Wayne, just a question for me, Wayne. You've already got 7,000 in the budget for the 17-18 year, and you're asking for an additional 20.
Yep.
Is it 20 all up or 27 that you're after?
We could work with 20 all up. I was looking at an additional funding amount, and we made it, it was 20,000, and obviously we knew the 7,000 was still going to be there. So we could work with a 20,000 all up.
Yes.
Through the chair. If we'd been sitting here 12 months ago and this had been brought before us, I don't believe we'd put up 50 grand for a feasibility study. When did officers of the council know the position that Go Tongariro were in?
If you're talking about the non-compliance with those performance standards in the contract, we've been talking to you about that, and we did talk to you about that when you put the $55,000 in. We made it very clear in the item at that point. So that's not new, that information.
Okay. So what monitoring was done in the past over the funding that Go Tongariro was supposed to have got from the business community?
We've had discussions with the business communities, and in general, it's been favourable. We were looking at around about a $98 targeted rate on commercial property. The issue that we've been having is really just getting the names, because there's a number of properties, businesses within Turangi that the rates are included in their rentals, and it's getting the names of those people to get a full coverage of all the commercial properties. So as I say, it's been a faltering start down those lines. We were originally hoping to have the names of the businesses supplied to us, but obviously that's not possible due to privacy concerns through Taupo District Council.
Privacy concerns through the council?
Being given the names of the owners of the business communities within Turangi.
Okay. Now, Go Tongariro has a website, is that correct?
Yes.
When was that last upgraded?
That's in the process of getting upgraded now.
And you've had the website for how long?
3 years.
And what sort of figures are you looking to spend to upgrade?
We got a grant of $5,000 to upgrade it.
So it won't come out of any of the funding that you're asking for at the moment?
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, just through the chair, Wayne, what will be your plan B if we decline the request for additional funds?
I don't have a plan B at this stage.
Okay, so that $20,000 is to, according to your letter, is to fund the role of Christine in general expenses, is that correct?
Yes, that's all. Anything that we do on a specific project by project basis is funded separately. We apply to the various agencies and charity fundings, charity suppliers to get those sorts of fundings.
Right. Any further queries of Wayne?
Well, it would appear that Go Tongariro will be in a bit of strife if we don't vote for the 20 grand. So do we vote for the 20 grand and they survive, or do we don't vote for the 20 grand and you die?
Shall we
Be an assumption?
put that to the motion?
Before you do, just one process thing just need to be clear around the annual plan. So just around significance. So depending on the decision today, we just need to make that assessment around this significance, and maybe Ariel, when you've made that decision, Ariel can maybe give some advice on that.
Through the chair, Gareth, you had a suggestion earlier on, possibly? No? I'll shut up.
In terms
Of the 20,000, if it was.
In terms of the question I was asked Wayne before, of whether it was the 20.
Yeah, the coordinator's role. No.
I might have lost you. So the question I asked Wayne before was whether or not it was 20,000 plus the 7,000 that's already in the annual plan.
No. We had a discussion.
Yes.
Or you might be able to fund it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
there was the question for you. So you know, your options today is to not fund it as the paper, to fund it in its entirety or a combination thereof. Or you could, and it's a derivation of funding it in its entirety, is that you could tag your funding to a specific element. So you could agree to tag Christine's salary to a certain point in time. And the suggestion was that until we've got the Section 17 review and or the feasibility study, you could tag some funding to ensure that Christine can still stay employed.
Because the way I see it, whatever comes out of the review that's been undertaken, if it's going to be done by the end of the financial year, it's going to need implementation. So Christine's longevity in that role is a necessity for us, I see.
I guess that we're only talking about this financial year in this, and I guess
I know, yeah, I get that, but
I guess the issue would be that we don't know what that implementation is, or what it might be that you need 5 people to implement whatever it is that we don't know yet. So I think we can only talk about, it's almost business as normal, Wayne, isn't it, to keep the home fires burning between now and when we get that feasibility review out.
Thank you, Gareth.
So, yes, sorry.
So
Councillor
just
Park.
through the chair, if it was to just bring it back on par with the current coordinator role salary, I'd be happy to do that rather than the blanket 20, because I think this is about just helping through a period of timing as opposed to just a blanket 20. Yeah. I'd support it if it was for Christine, and I'm not sure if that's 7 plus they have plus 13 or how that looks, but
Can we reword it in some way?
So, Madam Chair, I'm going off the cuff here, but maybe if the recommendation was something around that council approves funding to cover the salary cost. Got to be careful because part of the salary cost is funded by Enterprise Great Lake Taupo as well. To ensure that Go Tongariro can retain the coordinator position for at least the remainder of the 17-18 year. And then it's up to me to manage that, to make sure that the end result is that Christine still gets paid until the end of that financial year.
So it may be less than 20.
It could be.
Yep. Yeah,
I'd like
okay.
to put a ceiling on
Yeah,
that too.
I agree. So can we get that wording sorted? Any other comments?
Just for just going back to the internet again, what did it cost initially for your website to be set up?
The initial one was about $10,000.
Okay.
And that was, yeah, we walked into that somewhat blind.
Yes, councillor Kingy.
Madam Chair, I just wonder if, just as an extension to that, this sort of thinking, whether there's some ability to just provide Go Tongariro with some support in terms of staff or something along those lines. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we have to recognise that we have an organisation that works at the southern end of the lake for the benefit of the local community, and it tries to do that largely by itself. I wonder if there's an opportunity to just put some wraparound support to ensure continuity and ensure that this organisation carries forward, whether there's something that we can do. Just putting it out there.
So all I'd say on that is that we do try and do that, and I think Christine would acknowledge the work that council officers put in.
Oh, most definitely. As I say, I've acknowledged it in the past, and I'll reiterate it again, that without the support of not just the councillors before me, but obviously the people that work within the offices here, that without that support we wouldn't survive. Because the reality is that it comes down to what Christine does and what I do as chair, along with the board as well. So we are skinny on the ground as far as that, and certainly the contribution we get from this end of the lake is very much appreciated.
So a further example of that, councillor, would be that we provide office accommodation for the coordinator in Turangi free of charge. We're in, say, the equivalent in Taupo at the hub. Each organisation pays their own, so Town Centre Taupo pays their own office accommodation. So that's an example of where we've tried to do things that we can to try and keep the organisation going.
I suppose if I could just further clarify, it's probably around the fact that Go Tongariro have got into this position. I wonder if some specialist support around looking at your business plan, looking at that sort of thing might be some appropriate support around there. So not so much the officey logistics. Can we be a step ahead of the game?
Yep. Councillor Park?
I'd just also, because we've had some issues with reporting back to the council, could we perhaps just send a message that we need you to keep in touch with us about, or with the community board or whatnot, about where you're at and whatnot, so we can try and fix some of the things that we've struggled with.
And that rests with me, and also with Sally Nelson, who's from the community board, who sits on it as well. But I have reported back on most occasions when things haven't been firing correctly. But I suppose the council and also EGLT and DGLT also want Go Tongariro to be a little bit autonomous. But hear what Tong's saying about, and the board, I think the Go Tongariro board will not disagree that there have been huge teething problems, but they are taking upskilling classes at the moment to ensure that we're going ahead, that it's done in we've got legs growing up to a degree.
It has. It's taken a long time, unfortunately, and we've got a new board member on board now that's shown us a much sounder direction. We've also taken workshop classes on governance, which is something that, to be fair, none of the board really had experience in. My background is in corporate business, which is entirely different to what we're doing here. So, and that's been a wake-up call. We've only had one workshop. The other one was meant to be last night, but was postponed due to illness of the facilitator, but certainly that's been well worthwhile.
Councillor Hickling?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Look, we've just invested 55,000 in business case study, and if we don't sort of, with the findings, if we can't move, and it's obviously that Christine and the Go Tongariro will be able to get some action and some traction from when we receive that report. We're either looking at 13,000 or 20,000. You know, let's just do it.
Okay. Do we want to make a decision?
Oh, I don't know.
And do we have a resolution?
Just through the chair, look, I'm happy to support that, but I think we need to signal too that the purse is drying up. We can't keep continuing to self-fund.
I totally agree, but we've got to a point now where we,
Here we are at a crossroad.
Yep. Okay, so do we have wording for the,
So just, Madam Chair, if I just look at Ariel, given that the long-term plan has this declining funding mechanism, I'm assuming that we'll need to consult on, whatever we put here, we'll need to consult on the annual plan, is that correct?
My recommendation at this stage is, so the item that's before you is an assessment of the current resolution based, against the engagement policy against the current resolution. So we haven't done an assessment of a decision to provide additional funding against that policy, which we need to do in the assessment report for the annual plan. So what that assessment may bring to light is that there is a case for consultation, but obviously that will need to be in the context of whatever else that we can do. So what I'm signaling to you is that the decision that you can make today is to agree to propose the funding in the annual plan, but that assessment around significance of engagement needs to be undertaken as part of the assessment.
So I understand that sounds ridiculous because you're talking about such a small amount of money, 13,000, but it's the fact that the long-term plan specifically said that you were going to step the funding down.
Yeah, that's fine, I understand.
Well, now I have a difficulty because,
really?
Please. I raised the question, I think it was 100 grand, I just can't remember, in regards of the annual plan, but we're advised we didn't have to consult because it wasn't significant. That's what I'm saying, if this is only 13,000, it's piddle, or 20 versus that.
So that's the point of what I just said, is that it's not about the quantum. Yeah, it could be 50 cents. It's the fact that it's in your long-term plan, you specifically said that they were going to be weaned off. And by doing this, you're saying you're not, you're actually increasing them back up to year one. So it could be $1 that you're giving and it would be the same thing. So significance isn't about significance amount of money, it's about whether or not it meets that significance.
So, but because the other is something completely new.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, thank you.
So do we have a motion?
we've obviously got to add what Ariel's just proposed to that suggested resolution. Gareth?
So any ideas? It would be that we...
I've got, so far I've got approves funding to cover the salary cost to ensure that Gotunga Rio can retain.
So from what I'm hearing here,
Okay.
because of the dollars, if we just said proposes $13,000 additional to be put into the annual plan.
17, 18.
With further assessment to be undertaken against. I guess that I don't think the resolution needs to include the significance component, but it does need to recognise that it hasn't been approved yet. It's to be a proposal to include it in the draft.
That's a proposal.
Proposal to-
And so that council approves a proposal in the draft annual plan to include an additional $13,000 or $20,000.
Yeah, and then we can consider that.
What was the figure?
It'll be reviewed.
Is it 13 or 20?
Additional 13, you said?
Well, that's the question.
Yes.
13.
Just put a motion.
Just through the chair, if it's going to be something that could trigger that policy, then you're probably better to go out saying to consult on the 20.
Yeah.
And then you can see what comes back from the public, and then through deliberations and additional information, make a more informed decision, maybe.
Madam Chair, dare I move?
Yes, please.
What Ariel said, with the 20,000.
All those in favour? Oh, okay. All those in favour of what Barry and Ariel said? Yes, against? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Tina. Council engagements and conference opportunities.
No, because it came through.
Got to move along. I'm ready for a different.
What was the
No. What somebody said. Right. Good afternoon, Tina. You're choking on the money.
Dates to add in there.
Oh, hang on.
For the hearing for the freedom campaign. Including on there the 8th of May, a full day. The morning of the 9th of May, which will be in Turangi.
No,
So these are April.
these are April.
These are April's.
Oh, right, sorry. I'm ahead of myself, that's right.
Let's come back to April.
And just through the chair, we will need to add in next week a catch up on a workshop we had this morning.
Yep, so we've had a look at that and the long-term plan workshop and the workshop on the 4th with the water funding strategy. I just need to check with Ariel to see whether she needs that full 11 till 1 o'clock, and you might be able to put in your...
Oh, around there, yeah.
The workshop in your... Is that right?
So it's the 4th.
Will be the 4th.
That's the 4th day.
So we've got the workshops at 11 before we go.
We could do
Go early.
for the council one.
It'll be closed, so it's not like we're going to be able to advertise it.
Because then I'm thinking earlier in the day, then if we don't finish, we can then come back in the afternoon. It's going to be quite a discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. And then I think you've got DGLT interviews on the 13th. So potentially we could have a special council meeting on the 13th to formalise what we're in a place on the council building.
That's the 13th?
So Thursday.
Thursday.
For Easter.
I think it's been a bit rushed, actually.
Yeah.
Easter Thursday.
Okay.
And then the only other one to add on there in terms of conferences is one that I mentioned previously, which is around the eyesight one-day conference being held on the 1st of May at Wellington.
I might go to that.
It's a Monday.
It's in the airport as well, so it's just a flight down, so you don't need to travel into town.
There's no charge to attend.
No, just a flight down. And, yeah.
Any further comments? Did we have a mover and seconder that we received the information related to the engagements?
Just Madam Chair, if the people to get approval from colleagues on going to the eyesight thing, what do we need to do?
So we need to include it as number 3 in the resolution here that council approves in terms of whether it is to attend the eyesight conference on the 1st of May.
Are you all happy with that?
I don't know, I would
Move it.
And I would like to, I just have to check my diary.
Any further comments on that? So to remove those 3 recommendations, including the one that we've just done? Yep. All those in favour? We do now.
I moved.
So John moved and Roseanne seconded.
It's marvellous. I'm just glad you all did your own thing. That's great. All those in favour? Great, thank you. Right.
Pay me.
Right. Okay, now the confidential items. We exclude the public, so members' reports. We'll give to Tina.
Oh, email
That's that long, sorry. Is that it? Mover and seconder for the reports.
I'll move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Yay! Now we're going to move into confidence. So in mover